The upcoming Emilia Romagna Grand Prix will be an important race for many teams as they look forward to bringing their first round of car upgrades for the 2024 season. Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull will look to upgrade their car, and while we cannot rule out Mercedes as well, it seems like these three will be at the forefront this year. But one of them stands out and is the team to look out for in Italy. F1 is set to arrive at Imola following Lando Norris's maiden victory and McLaren's first triumph since Daniel Ricciardo's win at the 2021 Italian Grand Prix. There's now a buzz about whether Norris and McLaren can pose a challenge to Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing this season once again. McLaren is buoyed by the news that Oscar Piastri will receive identical upgrades to Norris's car previously seen in Miami. Despite Piastri's commendable performance in Florida sans upgrades, there's keen anticipation about his comparison with Norris in the upcoming race weekend. However, Mercedes finds itself in a position requiring improvement, with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton seeking a stronger showing following their Miami struggles. Both drivers failed to crack the top 5 and are yet to grace the podium this season, with Russell's 5th place finish in Bahrain marking their best result thus far. Despite expectations that updates introduced in Miami would aid their cause, Mercedes faltered on the track, prompting hopes for a significant turnaround at Imola. Andrew Shovlin, trackside engineering director at Mercedes, discussed in the team's post-race debrief video that while the parts performed as intended at the Miami International Autodrome, the rapid development pace of their rivals, coupled with persistent issues with their own car, makes it challenging to translate these advancements into on-track success. We managed to pull forward about half of our update kit to Miami, and then the other half is going to arrive in Imola, and we are working hard on the future races to try and bring developments to them as well, said Shovlin. Did it work as expected? Yes, it all looks like it is delivering the performance that we were hoping for from the floor. The issue at the moment is everyone else is developing their cars, so you saw McLaren with a big package and they look to have moved forward, and also the handling issues that the drivers are having to battle with are making it hard to really see all that performance as a straight sort of step forward. What we tend to find is that the car from session to session can behave quite differently, and until we get on top of that, we are always going to blunt the benefits that we can get from these types of updates. But after the last few races, we have got now a very clear idea of what we need to do to the car to get it handling a bit more easily for the drivers, making sure it goes where they want it to go when they are on those important qualifying laps. The Silver Arrows will need to continue working hard to catch up to the rest of the field, and even though the team is in a state of disarray at the moment, and that's putting it lightly, they have to be positive that they can turn this season around. McLaren showed up at the Miami Grand Prix with a bunch of new upgrades, but only Lando Norris got the full treatment. He used these upgrades well and got his first ever win after trying 110 times. Meanwhile, Norris's teammate Oscar Piastri will also get all the upgrades in Imola after only having half of them in Florida. Despite this, Piastri managed to challenge Max Verstappen at the start of the race. This pushed McLaren ahead of Ferrari, but still behind Red Bull. Even though many things affected the race, McLaren proved they have the speed to compete with Red Bull in Miami. Now Ferrari needs to respond as they're bringing in big upgrades in Imola, which could close the gap between the top teams. But Red Bull isn't sitting still. They're bringing updates to Italy too. They might not be as big as Ferrari's or McLaren's, but they could be enough to keep the competition away. However, Red Bull is facing some tough times, especially with their chief technical officer leaving in 2025, hinting at problems within the team. Despite this, they're moving forward with changes for Imola, aiming to show they're still the best. Their upgrades might not be huge, but they could make a big difference. Red Bull isn't worried about Ferrari copying their ideas and is looking at the upcoming race in Europe as a turning point for the championship. They're confident their upgrades will keep them ahead. Speaking about Ferrari, however, they're the team to watch this race. Throughout this season, Ferrari has consistently lagged behind Red Bull in qualifying, averaging 0.257 seconds slower, including sprint qualifying. However, the 2024 car has shown improved tyre management during races compared to last year's model. If Ferrari's upgrade can trim even a fraction of that quarter-second deficit in qualifying, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz might find themselves challenging Max Verstappen rather than trailing him. The outcome will depend on how much further development Red Bull's RB20 can undergo. At the heart of Ferrari's update is a reworked balance between aerodynamics and cooling. While the most noticeable change is the new bodywork resembling Red Bull's RB20, what's truly intriguing is the altered function of the vertical inlet. Previously utilized for aerodynamic purposes as part of an S-duct, it's now solely dedicated to cooling. This revised design sees the vertical inlet merged with the horizontal one, eliminating the separated airflow manipulation it once facilitated. Consequently, the side pod has been downsized to allow for a more pronounced undercut at the front and a tighter Coke bottle section at the rear. With reduced space around the radiators, cooling requirements appear to have intensified. Additionally, an enhanced cooling outlet on the engine cover replaces previous louvres. The shift from a lower to a top lip configuration enables another bodywork behind it, promoting improved airflow dynamics with a likely increase in speed. The improved undercut at the front of the side pod has led to a redesign of the car's underfloor. This undercut creates a low pressure area, causing air to rush in, thereby increasing airflow speed along the lower body. Furthermore, the enhanced undercut in the Coke bottle section will accelerate airflow even more as it joins with the airflow exiting the diffuser underneath the car. This energized flow along the edges of the floor should also improve the airflow underneath the car. Although not visible yet, the redesign of the underfloor likely aims to fully exploit these enhancements. However, there's a trade-off between airflow for cooling and for generating downforce. The S-duct has been sacrificed in this revised trade-off, as it's assumed that the new sidepod shape and floor generate more downforce than is lost by giving up the S-duct. It's important to note that improving airflow speed under the car also benefits the performance of the rear wing. Some of the airflow exiting the diffuser is directed to the beam wing and the underside of the main wing, increasing the pressure difference between the top and bottom surfaces of the wing, thus enhancing downforce. With Ferrari's update and McLaren applying their Miami upgrade to both cars, not just Norris's, Red Bull is undoubtedly feeling pressure ahead of Imola. But Vasseur is very cautious when it comes to this. Ferrari are 52 points behind Red Bull in the constructors' standings, and Imola presents a great opportunity for closing in on them on home soil. I think we have thought a lot about the development of this current car, and if we take anything with us, it will never be a mega upgrade, Vasseur said. It is true that if you have 4 or 5 cars within 1/10 in qualifying, and if you can bring 1/10 with you, it will be a game changer for the weekend, he further said. Last but definitely not the least, McLaren's successful upgrade from Miami will be extended to Imola, as Piastri will also receive the upgrades. Previously, only Lando's car received upgrades in Florida, yet Piastri still managed to impress by closely challenging Verstappen, which indicates McLaren's strong potential in Italy, not just for podium finishes, but also for victory. The positive feedback on the upgraded car was evident in post-race interviews, with Norris's race engineer Will Joseph highlighting the team's hard work and unity under Andrea's leadership. McLaren CEO Zak Brown echoed this sentiment, emphasizing the success of their upgrades and the team's momentum. "I'm beginning to lose words, but it comes down to hard work, and everyone has done the hard work. Under Andrea's leadership, the whole team's coming together, and we're in a good place. But we have faith in the process, we work and discuss that a lot. It just builds and comes together. The package should favor other circuits more than it does here in Miami, so we shall see." These remarks underline McLaren's significant strides since last season, with upgrades consistently meeting expectations and showcasing the effectiveness of their processes and teamwork. The question now is, what lies ahead? Can McLaren truly narrow the gap to Red Bull, as Andrea Stella said? Much will hinge on Red Bull's potential with the RB20 and Ferrari's continued development. With Ferrari also introducing updates in Imola, this season promises more competitive battles than anticipated after the opening race in Bahrain. The upcoming race at the technical Imola track will be a litmus test for all teams involved, revealing who can emerge victorious in this fiercely contested season. What do you think? Can McLaren and Ferrari beat Red Bull once again? Let us know down in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video.